The evening sky over Crescent Bay looked like a painting, brush strokes of violet and gold blending into soft peach and glowing amber. The sun hung low, dangling at the edge of the horizon as if hesitating to leave. The salty wind carried the scent of ocean spray and the distant laughter of families packing up from a long beach day. Courtney DaCosta walked slowly down the wooden pier, each plank creaking under her steps. She dragged her hand along the railing, her fingertips tracing the grooves carved by time, storms, and thousands of visitors before her. But to her, this pier wasn't just wood and nails. It was memories. It was where she went every time her world felt too loud. It was where she first learned to dream without limits. And it was where she first met Thomas Pistocco 2 summers ago, when she dropped her sketchbook and he caught every page before the wind stole them away. Tonight, her heart was heavy. A storm raged inside her chest, even though the sky remained gentle and calm. Today should have been the happiest day of her life. She had been accepted to the Royal Academy of Visual Arts in New York, the most prestigious art school she had spent years fighting, crying, and hoping for. But instead of joy, there was fear. And instead of relief, there was a deep ache pressing against her ribs. Leaving meant distance. Distance meant risking the one thing she didn't want to lose, Thomas. She stopped at the very end of the pier, leaning against the railing as she stared at the restless ocean beneath her. Waves rolled and shattered against the wooden posts, rising and falling like emotions she could no longer control. Her breath trembled as she whispered into the wind, "Why can't dreams come without sacrifice?" Behind her, footsteps pounded the boards, fast, uneven, breathless. "Courtney!" a voice called. She didn't need to turn around to know who it was. She could recognize his voice anywhere, whether in a crowded stadium or in the silence of her thoughts. Thomas Pistocco reached her side, chest rising as he caught his breath. His short dark hair was tousled from running, and his brown eyes glowed with worry beneath the sunset. He took one look at her and knew. "You got the letter," he said quietly. Courtney nodded, swallowing hard. "I did, and I should be thrilled, but instead I feel like I'm breaking apart." Thomas stepped closer, his voice soft but steady. "You're scared to leave," he said, "and I'm scared that distance might change everything." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "I don't want us to fade. I don't want time and miles to erase what we have." Thomas looked out at the horizon, then back at her. "If something is real, distance can't destroy it. I believe that. I believe in us." Courtney let out a shaky breath. But what if believing isn't enough? He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small object wrapped in worn cloth. Carefully, he folded it open to reveal a silver compass, old, scratched, but beautiful in a way only history could shape. "This belonged to my grandfather," Thomas said. "He carried it through every country he explored. He always told me the right direction isn't found by pointing north. It's found by following your heart." He placed the compass into Courtney's hands and gently closed her fingers around it. "When you feel lost, when you're scared, when the world gets too loud, look at this. Let it remind you who you are. And remember that no matter how far you go, I will always be here." Courtney's voice cracked as tears finally escaped. "Why are you always so calm about everything? Aren't you afraid I'll change while I'm gone?" Thomas smiled sadly, brushing a tear from her cheek. "Change is part of living, but love doesn't disappear just because life moves forward. I'd rather watch you chase the future you deserve than hold you back because I'm afraid." She threw her arms around him, clinging to him like the tide clings to the shore. They held each other tightly, the world shrinking down to the sound of 2 hearts beating against time. "You mean more to me than you know," she whispered. "You mean everything to me," he replied. They pulled apart slowly, their foreheads touching, breath mixing with breath. The pier lights flickered on, tiny stars mirroring the first real stars emerging above the sea. The ocean glistened black and silver under the night sky, endless and unknown, just like the future. Courtney looked down at the compass glowing in her palm. "I promise I'll come back," she said, voice steady now. "And I promise I'll be waiting," Thomas whispered. His words felt like a vow carved into the universe. They stood hand in hand for a long moment, watching the horizon swallow the final edge of sunlight. The world around them fell into quiet, except for the rhythmic pulse of waves below, like time counting forward, gently but unstoppable. Finally, Courtney spoke softly. "Some love stories aren't about distance. They're about direction." Thomas smiled, tightening his fingers around hers. "And we're headed exactly where we're meant to be." The wind carried their laughter across the pier, lifting it upward toward the stars. Their journey had only just begun, written not in stone, but in faith, courage, and the unbreakable pull of two hearts aligned.